Hello and welcome to Labelless Black Box's live Writers Talk series. Today I am joined by our ensemble members Kenzie James and Fox Worth, and I am so excited to hop into this conversation. Kenzie and Fox, can you show the people your faces? Come on, join me.
Hey y'all, good morning. Good morning. Or good afternoon, where you at?
Yes.
Good morning. Hello. Yeah.
How y'all feeling today?
Good.
Oh, so good. So good.
Feeling good.
And we all are looking good. So that is the blessing.
Yes. Amen. Melanin is popping on this Tuesday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I feel like I'm stuck on this smile, but hopefully y'all can still hear me.
We can hear you. Yeah. Lovely.
And you in Dallas. So we send you grace. We're in Dallas. We hope that you are well and safe. And you have light and heat. Well, you got heat outside now, right?
Yes, it is now 8 degrees. Last week we were in the freezer. It is now warm again. Back to normal. Now, first, I want to allow Kenzie and Fox, if y'all will, please introduce yourselves to our viewers today. Kenzie, let's start with you.
Sure. Hello, my name is Kenzie James. I am an interdisciplinary artist based in New York City. I'm just very happy to be here and a part of this collective.
Yes. And hey, y'all, I am Fox Worth. I am from the 313 Detroit. Gotta represent. I am an actor and a writer, and I am currently in grad school at UCI Irvine. At UCI Irvine. The I is the Irvine. University of California, Irvine. I just came from class. So yeah, I'm here to create art. I love art and I love these melanated folks.
Yeah. Fox, thank you for saying that. So you saying that you're here to create, that leads me into asking you all, what is it that makes you want to create, or why do you create?
You want to go first, Kenzie? Want me to go?
Sure. I'll go. I'll go. I have been a professional artist since I was a kid. I started acting at the age of 9. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And so my, performance background has always been rooted in a Black experience and a Black lens, So I have learned as I've moved through life that of this thing of the white gaze, but I don't know what that is because I have never considered the white gaze. The white gaze has never been dominant for me. It has never been anything that resonated with the work that I do. So I create because I have learned that Black folk need to know that their experience is the dominant experience if they want it to be. And so that is why I create. I love the Black arts, not only do I perform, but I also critique it. Alan and I are co-hosts of a podcast called Performing Black. And so on that podcast, we critique Black performance from the stage to film and television. And I believe that, I have an authority to do so because I have studied and trained for several years in the work. So that's why I create. Why do you create art?
I create art because it saved my life. You know what I'm saying? Art, like as far as I can remember, and it's been saving our people's life, from going, way back in the day when they was creating songs to, disguise, the Underground Railroad and trying to get up north. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be here if they didn't do that. As I said, I'm from Detroit. So, art has always been in our blood. I believe God is an artist. You go outside and you look outside, whether you see, the clouds or the blue sky or what have you, there's art right there. And there's been many times in my life, I've been through a lot of things very young. And I've always got back to art was my saving grace. You know what I'm saying? And I've realized that though we have all of this, art that, Black people, we the, inventors, you know what I'm saying, of many things, of all things. And, I rarely see that queer Black artists are getting their just due and getting their point across, not just to other queer Black people, but to all Black people. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe queer Black people are people who we take in everything. You know, we take in all sides. We have had to live uh, under in a shadow. You know what I'm saying? So we were able to see so many sides, and I feel like our voices have always been here, but have not been heard publicly. You know, so I feel like that's also why I create art because I'm doing it for us. You know, I say it all the time. Moonlight is my favorite movie. It saved my life. Moonlight came out when I came out, and Moonlight was a movie where I was like, oh, okay, stop trying to get things out so that you can get to a straight audience. Tell your people's story. Because if that saved me, who knows who else it saved and what else and who else we can save. And that's not just Black people, that's all people, you know, humanity in itself. But I do it for us. I put on for our culture, you know, because we deserve it and we need it. And it's what teaches us. And, you know, people trying to take it out to schools. But I think a lot of people found out during this pandemic, what did you run to? You ran to movies, you ran to TV shows, you ran to music, you painted, you drew. You know what I'm saying? We have always been the saving grace, and I think it's time that we tell our stories and not spoon feeding people, but just to give it to them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's life. Art imitates life. We wouldn't have the earth if it wasn't for art. It would be eh. So yeah, that's why I create.
I'm so glad you said that bit about telling our own stories and the importance of that and the position that we have as Black queer folk to be able to really ascertain and see the world from a different vantage point. I think that we are in a unique position where we are both outside, within and outside of this large kind of community of society, and so we are able to critique things and see things a bit differently because we're told that we are other, and so it allows us the access point to really see things in a different lens, you know. And so on that point, I believe James Baldwin is a figure who was able to do that acutely. And Kenzie, in our first show, wrote a piece called Baldwin's Bust Down that in which he enacted James Baldwin, invokes James Baldwin, and critiques Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And at this time, I want to show that that clip, and we'll talk about it afterward.
On today's show, we are discussing the recently released Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It is quite haunting to watch the late Chadwick Boseman lament about the woes of Black life, all the while he's questioning God, and in his own reality, his mortality is slowly deteriorating. And for that, he should receive all the awards. And then there is Viola Davis, very talented, but struggled to capture the grit of the ghetto. I mean, let's face it, Ma Rainey was a thug, and it was my struggle to watch her fake fat ass flounce up and down the screen. Let me just tell you, it is true that Ma Rainey was BBW, and it is true that the bitch playing her was wearing a fucking fat suit. And while Wolf is a fine stage director, I am unsure if he achieved a laudable cinematic translation. I am unsure if Wilson's stage play is translatable to the screen, as his gift was play writing. And with all due respect, we all saw Washington's sad attempt at fences. Watching two bottoms fight for the middle of the dildo couldn't be more entertaining. Unfortunately, there are no tens today. I will give Ma Rainey's Black Bottom a C+ for catastrophic conundrum. I'll also give it a C for Coleman, come get this consistently. Thank you for tuning in to Baldwin's Bust Down.
fun.
Kenzie, I do have to say that you mentioned Coleman. I was just reading Coleman is married. I had no clue.
Listen, I found out he was married as well, and I don't care. I like Asians, so we can be a throuple if he likes. Okay. I didn't know he was married either. Yeah, it's such a damn shame.
I just read the article today.
Yeah,
But now, Kenzie, how did this piece come to be, and what led you to write it?
So, I've been living with Baldwin since I've been living with Baldwin forever. My favorite play in the world is The Amen Corner, which is written by James Baldwin. And James Baldwin is a Leo, and I'm a Leo. So I just feel a kindred spirit with James Baldwin. So we have to start there. But I entered graduate school at Cornell University in 2014 and took two seminars, two Baldwin seminars. And, I was a terrible graduate student, so I didn't read everything I was supposed to read in those classes. But, I did pay attention. And, Baldwin politically was way before his time. And it's so interesting if you revisit his work now, particularly his essays, they are so applicable to what is happening today. And so my second solo play that I'm working on is about Baldwin's life. And so, this was an opportunity not only to try to work on the character Baldwin, but also I am a, cultural critic. And so I am, championing myself now to continue to critique art in, a myriad of ways. So I've got the podcast, but I want to do it in creative ways as well. So I'm just basically marrying these worlds of thinking about Baldwin and continuing to craft that character while also creatively, critiquing Black art. And so that is how Baldwin's Bust Down came about.
And in terms of performance style, what was your process like in kind of invoking your voice and mannerisms and putting this performance together?
Yeah. So this particular, this obviously, with the long dangling earring and things like that. So this is kind of like an Afrofuturistic Baldwin, so I'm calling upon the future, but also, hearkening back to, the civil rights moment where Baldwin was really kind of active. In terms of crafting his voice, I just try to listen to him and listen to his cadence and talk a bit real fast like he does, And so I would try to do those things and just bring that into the character, but also kind of recognizing the present moment too, because we are talking about this movie that came out in 2020, and so bringing all those worlds together. Okay. Having them collide. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give a shout out real quick to Fletcher. His comment says, LOLC is consistently hilarious, Kenzie.
Thank you, Fletcher. He's so generous and gracious. Hey, Fletch.
I want to take this moment, too, to remind our viewers to please tune in to our show on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have much more in store. We have a very exciting show coming up. It is going to be one that will probably make you cry at moments. You'll definitely laugh. It's definitely going to make you think as well and start conversations about various things. I would say some of the kind of reoccurring themes are love, family, healing, self-worth, self-image. And I also want to take a moment to talk about another skit from last month's show, FaceTime Date, in which both Kenzie and Fox performed. And I wrote. So let's take a look at our work, y'all, real quick.
Let's do it.
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm great.
You?
Can't complain. Just chilling at home with family. How's your family? You saw them for the holidays, right?
Yeah, they're good. My parents got COVID and passed a few weeks ago, but everybody's good for the most part.
Oh my God. You okay?
Yeah, I'm chilling.
Nigga, you just said your parents died.
Yeah, I'm good though.
I have to say, I can watch that over and over because I love performances. Y'all took every beat and made them so full. And so I have to give you props every time. I loved it.
Thank you for your writing.
Yeah. But no, so that piece kind of goes in tandem with what I was talking about of even the themes of this coming show on Thursday of healing and really mental health and talking about what it is that we're going through, one as Black men, but two really as humans. And something Sal and I were talking about in yesterday's live session was that so often it feels as though we bottle things in, and particularly in this time of this quarantine and us all being kind of isolated from one another, it can feel as though we don't have that community sometimes to go to for support. And I feel that in this group, community through healing has been such a powerful thing and such a poignant piece that has drawn us all together and that kind of propels this work. And so I want to ask you all kind of what your experience has been with that. Has this process in LBB been healing for you? Has it allowed you to get things off of your chest? What are you investing in as you write these pieces for our shows? So yeah, either of you can take that on.
Go Fox.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was watching Bishop T.D. Jakes' sermon today, and it was called Paradigm and Paralyzed or something like that. And he was talking about a story in which Peter and I believe John were walking, and this man who was had been paralyzed since he was born from his ankles, how they reached out and grabbed his hand, and he began to walk. And he compared that to how we are all paralyzed, kind of, because of things that we can't control. And this pandemic being one of them. We can't control the things that are happening to us. We can't control, and because we can't control, and we want to control things, because we always are like, all right, I can plan for this. I can plan for this to happen, or I'll have this show coming, or I'll go out and go audition and try to get that thing. But having all of that being halted and stopped, it's kind of made us internally paralyzed, even to our emotions of who we are. But what's interesting is that when we were already going out there, we had things to distract us. We had things to take us away from the things that matters that I believe we have been struggling with during this pandemic. I know for myself, there has been a paralyzing of like, oh, well, there ain't no point of doing art because who's going to see it? Is anybody really going to want to see this virtually? Is anybody really going to need this? And it doesn't feel the same because when we were in person, we had each other. We could feed off of each other's energies. That's why we do it. And we hear the audience, and we know when they've enjoyed it. We know when they're not enjoying it. We know when they're crying. We know when they're feeling. And not having that has sort of, I believe, for artists, made us very it's taken away a lot of our motivation. And I will say there's something about LBB that has forced me to get on the artistic treadmill again. You know what I'm saying? To where it's like, no, come on, let's go ahead and do it. No, okay, because I'm like these deadlines, but I'm in school and I don't know. But it's like, you're an artist. That's what you're here for. You have, and your body knows that, your artistic body knows that, your spiritual body knows that. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you get disturbed. Your body's like, we need to get these toxins out. We need to get this out of us. We were put on this earth to absorb and to give, and then take and absorb and to give. And I feel like we were just absorbing and absorbing pain, absorbing our people dying and getting murdered, and absorbing the injustices, and absorbing disease after disease, mental illnesses, and we weren't able to give it to somebody, you know. And I believe that that's something that has come up for me in terms of LBB and in terms of this scene, this beautiful skit, that it's same. You know, we cling to things. We cling to, you know, quick fixes and things that'll get us that pleasure really quickly when that's not the case. And it's so interesting because, you know, I talk about this pandemic with my non-Black friends, and then I'm like, but they don't even add on the fact that when I walk around here, I got white eyes looking at me during a pandemic. They don't notice how, even though we all got masks on in the grocery store, and that's, you know, irritating, I still got people looking at me as if I would steal. There's so many more layers added on that has like made me be like, okay, I need to run to something. I need to go to something. And it's just so interesting how the character that I was playing was dressed, how we're getting ready for a date, you know, and I'm just very relaxed, you know, and you start to give up on the inside. And I think one of the big things from this scene that taught me is to reach out to people, to relight that flame that is inside you. Because if you, and as Bishop said today, if you stay paralyzed for long enough, it'll start to spread. And it'll start to spread all over the place. And, you know, we can't allow that to happen, because, you know, once you die internally, in terms of emotion, in terms of mental, it starts to manifest on the outside. And we don't want that to happen. There's too much going on, you know. But I think it also speaks to the strength and the power of people, and of Black people, of how we're like, no, but you know what? Because we've always been making something out of nothing. That's where soul food came. We got the scraps and we made it into something. Now everybody want it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's what this process has been for me. And that's what I've learned from this scene, is making something into something and not allowing yourself to get paralyzed artistically, but to reach down inside yourself. And if you need to get trusted hands, trusted people who are going to challenge you and say, no, I can see you. No, come on, you can do it. You can do it. You know, that's what we need. And that's what you'll have to ask for. And I know I'm a person that doesn't always ask for help, but this scene definitely taught me, no, go ahead and ask. And if you feel like you can't ask your friends for help, you need to check that. This has also been the time of cutting, you know, cutting people out to life that ain't supposed to be there.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Fox. You know, I don't know if you all have talked about this, you know, but LVB kind of, you know, came about from conversations that began on Clubhouse. And while the allure of Clubhouse has left me, those conversations remain with me. Because we were able to have some great conversations about race in the arts, about, you know, political warfare in this country. And I think that being able to see Alan and Fletcher create this collective out of those conversations has been the healing point. And to be able to talk about all of the things, you know, I think for me, what has become most important, like I am clear about the condition of the Black body in this country. I am clear and in my politics, and I understand that it is likely not to change in my lifetime. So I don't have time to be having conversations with those who don't understand it. I don't have time to have conversations to convince people of the plight. That's not, to me, that makes it, to me, is a waste of time. I'm not saying it's not productive, but for me, it's not. What has been productive is that I understand that Black folk have such a misunderstanding about sexuality and gender. And so LBB has been a space for me to explore how do I get my people to understand the vastness and how big it is, and that this binary that we have been taught is misleading. And that there are many folks, regardless of what you identify with, there are many folk who don't, and that they deserve a space and a seat at this Black table to have a conversation. And so, that is why I think, FaceTime date is important, and the many themes that are coming up in our next show. That is what's important. And so I have decided that in my art now, not only is my voice talking to Black folk, but it's talking to those Black folk who align with white supremacy in the ways that they don't understand that they do. And so I want to talk to those Black folk and say, listen, while you thinking that you're raising the fist, you are actually creating such violence for your own people, and you claim that that's not what you're wanting to do. But let me explain something to you. This work will liberate you and show you how to be better and how we can come together to find our own liberation.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
I think your Darlene White perfectly sums that up. She says, preach. That just says, powerful. Fox and Kenzie, yes, indeed. Darlene says, come on, y'all giving me chills. Yes. This is the heart of LBB. And I think it is so divinely ordained that we are all together, that we have all met and been drawn together to create in this time. I would say the conversations that started on Clubhouse really started as one about kind of this Black Renaissance and this period of us, as Fox was saying, kind of expunging what it is we've absorbed over this past year and past years. I think about often that I've grown up in a time where Black death is constant on my social media timelines. I would see videos constantly since, I would say, middle school of Black people being shot and killed. And there's been a numbness that's developed over time to that. And I think this is the time to just release all of that and say, this can't be anymore. This cannot be the norm. And I think LBB, the work that we are creating, challenges a lot of these norms or these notions of what Blackness is to be, as you were saying, Kenzie, in terms of sexuality and gender. I think that it too is part of that conversation. And that's part of what we are trying to challenge. And I am so grateful and blessed that we have this collective of artists such as yourself and Sally and Deja and and Fletch. And I am so excited to see where we continue to go. And Fox, you have a piece coming up in our show on Thursday called Black Boy Joy. Can you give our just a bit of a teaser as to what that is about?
Oh my goodness. Black Boy Joy is about the complexities of being a young Black adolescent who is gay, who is getting ready for a date, and all of the things that goes on in his head as he prepares, and what happens after that date, and what tends to be unsaid when your friends go into a bathroom and they're talking to themselves. That conversation that happens, that pep talk that you give yourself, and that realness, that rawness. I thought when I wrote Black Boy Joy, it came from a place where I was like, okay, I'm not altogether masculine and I'm not altogether feminine. So what am I? Oh, I'm a human. Well, let's explore that and see what that is. And I think that a lot of people are going to see a lot of sides of what a Black gay male, Black gay person, Black person can be.
Yes. So the cast, we have previewed all of the pieces. So I have had the privilege of seeing Black Boy Joy already. And I know for a fact that it is going to touch everyone who watches it. It will definitely lift your spirits. And I have to give props to Fox for that piece. It's stunning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, brother.
It is.
So Fox and Kenzie, thank you so much for joining me here today for the Writers Talk for Labelless Black Box Live. To our viewers, please be sure to tune in to our show on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, if you happen to be over there. You can visit us at labellessblackbox.com for the live show on Thursday. Again, that is labellessblackbox.com. We will also be streaming to Facebook and YouTube as we are right now, but we would prefer if you would please join us at our website for the live show. It's a one-stop shop. And thank you all for watching today. And thank you too for joining me. I will see you all very soon.
Bye-bye.
I want to show my friends. You can't see the whole thing. It's so sad. My friends, okay.
Thank you all.
Bye, y'all.